Woo! We are live. Hey, everyone. Gosh, it's been so long since I've been live, and we have so much going on at Crowned Marketing and Communication. So it has pulled me away from you. But guess what? I have great news. I am back. I am back every week for Marketing Monday with you, my amazing future proof entrepreneurs and executives. And so today in this session, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, which is branding. And so today we're going to be talking about personal brand versus professional brand. This is, man, if I had $1 for every time I was asked, Courtney, should I focus on my personal brand or my professional brand? Can they be one? Should they be separate? Does one come before the other? Man, I could make a really great sizable donation to charity. But today I'm going to answer your burning question about personal brand versus professional brand. Okay. So first and foremost, welcome to Marketing Monday. I'm Courtney Newell. I am the CEO of Crowned Marketing and Communications, best-selling author of that book back there, Future Proof, The Blueprint for Building a Brand Gen Z and Millennials Love. And I am extremely passionate about helping entrepreneurs and executives to increase their impact, income, and influence. And so when it comes to personal branding, again, one of the questions I get asked a lot is, should I focus on my personal brand or my professional brand? But before we jump into that, let's go over the difference between your personal brand and your professional brand, some similarities, and how you can really think through what you should be focusing on first. Okay. So when it comes to your personal brands, whether you realize it or not, a lot of our clients are executives inside of larger organizations. And a lot of times they don't think about themselves as having a personal brand. But the reality of it is that yes, you have a personal brand, whether you are an entrepreneur or an executive. And it's really important to make sure that you are clear about what your brand represents. What can people expect when they work with you? What can people expect when they are partnering with you? What can your colleagues expect? How do you show up every single day? Your brand is your promise. And it's going to be the way that people really identify you versus everyone else. And if you start to promote those characteristics and those things that identify your brand, then you're really going to be able to help yourself stand in. And in an executive role, it's really important to do these things because when you have a brand that's out there as an executive inside of a larger organization, a lot of times what happens is one, you are the person who is positioned for the growth inside of the company. When they're looking for someone to promote, when they're looking for someone to highlight, they're going to look at you. Why? Because you're going to be top of mind. And so when it comes to professional brands, executive brands, a lot of times executives are not necessarily excited about putting themselves out there. And so we're not going to go into huge detail about this specifically today, but I did want to identify the difference between a personal brand and a professional brand. All right. So when we're talking about an entrepreneur, the same holds true when it comes to an entrepreneur versus the examples I just shared with you versus being an executive inside of a larger organization. When it comes to you being an entrepreneur, though, your brand is really going to be the difference between you attracting more clients and being able to grow and scale your business and also offer additional things that you can then turn and sell. So that can help you be able to become a best-selling author or to write a book or create a course or to partner with organizations and let them leverage your influence. Now, when we think of influencers in 2021, a lot of times we think about influencers in the sense of like Instagram influencers. But I'm here to tell you that entrepreneurs and executives inside of larger organizations, those deals, those partnerships, that influence and that return on influence can be a very sizable revenue. And so you really want to think about the ways that you position yourself in the market. One of the first things that I talk about with entrepreneurs when we're talking about personal branding is, do you want to be more so focused on the higher end? Do you want to be more attainable for more, like an average attainable pricing structure or attainable marketing structure? Or do you want to be more lower end? So think about high end as being a premium service, premium pricing. You're going to serve fewer clients. Think about medium, where it's not necessarily going to be a stretch for everyone to be able to afford you. And then think about your services, and then think about lower end being very cost effective. And when it comes to lower end, I don't want you to think about low end means that you can't scale, because there's definitely a strategy, and one that I teach all of our students in our Future Proof Academy, that starts with a lower price point item so that you can scale and eventually become or offer some of that more higher pricing and higher tier offers and services. All right. So now we talked about personal brand. Let's talk about professional brands. So when we're talking about your business brand, the first thing people think is logo. They think website. They think of social media graphics and photo shoots and all these things. And yes, that is definitely a key part of your professional brand. But I also think about the real parts of your brand that a lot of people don't talk about, but really are the DNA of your brand, which are your core values. What are your brand promises? What can people expect from working with you? And so for me over at Crowned and really our whole team, one of our core values is high energy. So with everything that you see, there's going to be some high energy behind it. The next one for us is high quality. That is extremely important to me. I am extremely meticulous, and all of our clients know it, and everyone on my team knows it. Why? Because my clients expect a certain amount of quality, and I expect that as well. And I will not put something out unless it's perfect in my mind. Okay. And so that's what someone can expect. Now, some other examples of what people can expect from you could be, we have some clients who they're cutting edge. They're always on the cutting edge. They're always coming out with the latest and greatest technology. They're constantly featured in tech news and tech platforms where they're being asked about their opinions on the latest and greatest in their industry. So that could be a brand promise. That could be one of your core company values. Another could be edgy, right? Way back when, throwback brand Ed Hardy was a edgy brand, right? That's what they were known for. Think about brands like Red Bull. They're really edgy, they're really adventurous, they're really out there. And so you really want to think about your 3 to 5 core values in your company, okay? And they should be really unique to you. Now you're probably wondering, okay, now I understand the difference. Now I understand what I need to be thinking about when it comes to my personal versus professional brand. But now I want to marry the two together. Okay. When we're talking about personal brand and professional brand, a lot of times the questions that I get are around, is it okay for me to use my personal brand in my business brand? And the answer is, right now, as it stands right now in 2021, it is essential for you to infuse your personal brand into your company brand. And let me tell you why. Way back when, people would think that it was okay to be like behind a screen, and they would have all these they would have this whole B2B marketing versus B2C marketing. But if you've read my book, Future Proof, the one thing I talk a lot about in the book is about the new way to market, and the new way to really connect with your customers is no longer B2B or B2C, business to business and business to consumer. It's P2P, person to person. People want to know who is on the other side of that screen. Who is the person that they're going to be working with inside of the business if they're buying if they're buying an actual service? Who are they buying from if they're buying a product? People are connected to people's stories. They're connected to people, right? So when we're talking about personal brand versus professional brand, it's really important to make sure that you infuse your personal brand into your professional brand. So at Crowned, at all of the businesses that I work with, I make sure that we talk about the importance of the CEO or the leaders, their personal brands. Now, it's really important when we're talking about personal brand that we make sure that it's still professional, right? I don't want you to go out there and say, oh, well, I can infuse my personal brand. And so on the weekends, I like to do these types of things. Let me infuse that into my business brand. No, you still have to be professional, right? This is like, professional is the baseline for your brand either way. But you do want to make sure that you have something that people can relate to, especially smaller businesses. Now, larger businesses, a lot of our clients that are global companies, they can have brand ambassadors, they can have spokesmodels, they can have influencers who are really going to promote their brand and partner with their brand, right? But in the beginning, if you really go back to the beginning of the brands, a lot of them were around the CEO. And so some of my favorite brands are really highlighting the CEO story. Now they may have gotten away from it, but it's really baked into the company's brand story. And so when it comes to personal brands and business brands, it's really important to make sure that you're infusing your personal brand into the business brand, especially right now. And the brands that are winning are the brands that are doing that heavily. That's why we're seeing these smaller brands or these indie brands, as we like to call them. That's why we're seeing them scale. And that's why we're seeing them become so popular. And that's why we're seeing them even go into retail stores, large retailers like Nordstrom, like Sephora, like Target. And that's why they're able to get that way, because they have such a following, because people feel connected to their brand story. Okay. So when we're talking about personal brand, professional brand, I want you to think through your 3 to 5, but a minimum of 3. I'm not going to let you off easy. What are your 3 core values for your personal brand? And what are your 3 core values for your business brand? And when you look at them, I can't guarantee it, but I would guess that there is some overlap there. And in the perfect world, they will be able to happily coexist and marry together, and you will be able to effortlessly infuse them. Now, another question I get asked a lot is, Courtney, I'm not really out there. I don't really like to put myself out there as a CEO. And that's okay. I have clients who have their CEO as the face of the brand. I have some that have the CMO. I have some who have their sales leaders on as the face of their brand. And this isn't to say that there only has to be one person, right? There can be multiple. There can be whole departments, right? You can have every single person on your team own their brand. And maybe that's something that you encourage, especially now. But what I want to encourage you to do is to really find some of those elements that you feel comfortable doing. And so some of the ways, I'm going to talk about introvert personal branding versus extrovert personal branding next. Okay. So when we're talking about, for those CEOs, for those executives, and entrepreneurs that are like, Courtney, I'm an introvert. I'm not really trying to put myself out there like that. Here are some of the ways that you can still leverage your personal brand and really build your expert authority. Okay. One of the first and easiest, lowest hanging fruit ways, one of the ones that all of my introvert CEO clients love, is writing articles. Okay. And so with writing articles, this is really going to be a place for you to leverage your voice. And this can live on your LinkedIn, which is one of our favorite platforms for personal branding and executive branding and expert positioning. And then you can also have it on your company page. And it can be the entrepreneur, the executive's corner, chairman of the board's corner. You can add all these different tags to it to make it really engaging. And another thing that we've been doing as well, is been sending them out to target customers or some of the customers of clients. So let's say, for example, you are an introvert, self-claimed introvert entrepreneur. Although, let me say this really quick before I go any further. I promise you, even when I'm talking to someone who's self-proclaimed introvert, when you talk to them about certain things that really light them up, they become extroverted. Okay. So I think no matter what, even if you're like, I'm super shy, I'm a total introvert, I have always found something that can make even the most introvert person become more out there and extroverted. Okay. A lot of times it's just about finding that thing that they love to talk about. Okay. So let me know in the comments, do you identify more as an introvert or an extrovert? Okay. And also let me know what you think I identify as. It's probably pretty easy to guess. Okay. So now back to introvert personal branding. One of the things that you can think about is writing your thought leadership articles. Okay. Thought leadership articles are one of those things that are really going to help you leverage and build your brand. A great thing about thought leadership articles is that you can also submit them to sites like Medium. Before Huffington Post was purchased and acquired, Huffington Post was a great place to do that now. Now, Medium is a great place to do that, and it's a great place for you to be able to have your content be seen by the world, okay? Now, if you're someone who is saying, I think that's a great idea, that definitely falls in line with what I want to do, but I don't necessarily like to write, a great way for you to do this is to record yourself. And there's voice memo is one of my favorites on my iPhone, but you can use voice memo. You can record yourself talking out your expertise, and then you can upload it to a site like rev.com, and it's about $1 per minute per transcription. Okay. Typically 30 minutes is going to get you about 2,000 words. Okay. So a pretty good article. So you don't need to talk that long. I say 15 to 20 minutes, ample time to be able to get a really good article out there that you're going to be transcribing. Okay. And it takes about 24 hours to get that turned over. So you can have your thought leadership articles be written out, but written out for you essentially by you just talking them out. I will tell you this too. When I wrote my book, Future Proof, that was actually how I finished it, because I had writer's block and I was like, man, I have all the things in my head, but I can't get them out. And so that's actually one of the ways that I use to get that out. And one of the things that we do for some of our clients is we actually have it on our website where they can talk it out. They can answer our questions that we've submitted to them for their articles. And then we actually transcribe it and we write it for them. Okay. So you can use a site like rev.com. It's very inexpensive. It's very affordable. And it's one of our go-to recommended platforms. Next is podcasting. Now, podcasting, a lot of times people love the idea about podcasting, but podcasting can be very labor intensive, right? And so when it comes to podcasting, it doesn't necessarily have to be this whole big production, okay? I'm going to share with you some of my little tricks right now. So this right here, let me pull it over a little bit. You see this microphone here? This microphone is connected to my computer, and you can use all these different platforms. The one that I typically use, you can use Loom, which is a recording software that you can plug into your computer. You can download it onto your computer. You can use Zoom. You can do all these different tools. I mean, it made it so easy for us now to become thought leaders and have our voice be out there that you really have no excuses, right? So you can have your microphone hooked up, plug it in, and record your audio only on Zoom. You can use sites like Loom. You can use Audible. You can use Audacity, not Audible. You can use Audacity as well. Those are 3 tools that you can use to be able to record yourself and have them uploaded as podcasts. Now, those podcasts, if you decided to actually turn it into a real podcast, of course, you're going to need your podcast artwork, and you want to make sure that you are regularly uploading those podcast episodes. But these are just some of the ways that you can start to build your personal brand and really that expert authority that's going to lead to many more opportunities. And again, we talked about some of them earlier, but some of those top opportunities for being able to leverage your brand are going to be paid speaking engagements. They're going to be partnerships with larger brands. They're going to be consulting sometimes with larger brands. They're going to be having courses, being able to write books, being able to get that promotion, being able to sit on board seats. I mean, there's so many. I can talk about this for like literally forever. But those are just some of the top things that happen when you start to put yourself out there and build your expert authority. Okay. Now, lastly, the thing I want to go over today when we're talking about personal versus professional brand, and now you can see that there really is no difference in 2021. You really do have to have the two merged, is you really want to be thinking about your authority funnel. Okay. We're talking about authority funnel. What that really means is what's the journey that you're taking your audience on? And when we're talking about that audience journey or customer journey, you really want to make sure that you're starting with the key elements of how you got to where you are today. It's what I like to call my expert story. I've heard others refer to it as their hero story. But when we're talking about building your brand and really becoming the go-to person in people's mind, whether that's the go-to restaurant because you've tried all the mac and cheese in the state of Florida and you came across the best recipe and you opened up a mac and cheese. I love mac and cheese shop. Okay. I literally just made that up off my head. But as you can tell, I'm probably craving a little bit of mac and cheese right now. But that's just an example. Okay. You want to be able to think through what that brand story, that expert is going to be. How did you get to where you are today? Okay. For me, I have my multicultural story, my multicultural marketing expert story. Okay. That is a story I talk about heavily on my website. I talk about heavily in all of our presentations. It's one of the stories that has led me to be one of the country's top multicultural marketing experts. It's something that I want you to have ready to go when anyone asks you, so Jane, why did you enter into this space? What made you decide to become to this your life work? You really want to be able to easily answer. It should be something that flows so easily that it's essentially just ingrained, and it's something that comes out very easily. Okay. And the reason why that's going to be so important is because as you begin to elevate influence, as you begin to put yourself out there, people are going to ask those questions. And more importantly, people are going to be drawn to what the responses of those questions are going to be. So when people feel connected to that brand story or your expert story, they're going to feel like they can trust you. They're going to feel like they can relate to you, and they're going to feel that you're the right person to do business with. So when we're talking about your brand story, really quick recap and your personal brand and your professional brand, I want you to first think about your core values. Okay. Those 3 to 5 things that that are true to your brand that people can expect every single time when working with you or your business. The next thing I want you to think about is your brand story. What's going to be your expert story? How did you get to where you are today? And that can include, you've been working in this industry for 20 years. That can include you didn't see it in your industry and you decided to create it. It can be that you tried everything that was out there. Nothing was working for you, although it worked for everyone else, and you knew there had to be a better way. Whatever those elements are, I want you to wrap them up into your brand story. And that's going to be you're going to put everywhere. That's going to be what you infuse into your speaker bio. That's going to be what you infuse into your website, into your brand story, into your bio. That's going to be the thing that people remember. And that's going to be the thing that helps people to feel connected to you and the person that they want to do business with. And when I say do business with, I mean, whether that's you, the entrepreneur who's trying to scale, or you, the executive who's trying to get that next promotion and climb that corporate ladder. Either way, it's all about person to person. It's about that connection. It's about people feeling connected to you, people feeling like they can trust you, and people feeling like you're relatable. And all of those things are going to make them feel like you are the go-to person for them. So when we talk about personal brand versus professional brand, I really want you to rethink the way that you think about it. And I want you to think about your core values and your brand story. And if you're doing it right, and the way that's going to be the most impactful for you from 2021 and beyond, right? We're not thinking about what worked in 2000. We're not thinking about what worked in 2010. We're talking about what's working right now. And what's working right now is personal brand, that personal connection, whether you're a large corporation or whether you're a smaller corporation. And don't be afraid to infuse your personality. That's going to be the thing that people feel connected to. That's going to be the thing that makes you different than all of those competitors. And I will just leave you with this. When we're talking about bigger brands, you can see brands like State Farm. They're using Jake from State Farm. And Jake is making people feel more connected to the State Farm brand, right? You have brands like Virgin United, and all those different brands under Richard Branson, and he puts himself out there. And especially if you look back at the history of Virgin, it was all around Richard Branson's personal brand. Okay. And you can see T-Mobile is doing that as well with their CEO. So whether it's a large brand or a small brand, either way, people need connection, whether that be the CEO, whether it be a spokesperson, whether it be brand ambassadors. But I will challenge you to make sure that your voice is heard inside of the sea of voice that you choose to represent your company. The CEO is going to be the leader of the ship, and that is going to be the person whose brand needs to reign supreme. All right. So I hope you enjoyed this session of Marketing Monday. Let me quickly check and see if we have any questions. All right. It looks like we don't have any questions. If you have any after you're seeing this, or if you're watching the recording, let me know in the comment section. Comment and ask your questions, and I will make sure that I respond to you. But so much for watching this episode of Marketing Monday, and make sure that you come back next week, because next week we're going to be talking about something that follows this episode of Marketing Monday. So I'll see you then. Signing out for now.